Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy September. Thank you so much for joining us for our fourth session of the Improved Hypertension Health Initiative podcast. This month, we again are talking about how food is medicine, and our topic today is reducing sodium intake. I have our phenomenal Flint-based medical team, no stranger to you in community, Doc G, Nurse Battle, and affectionately known as Nurse T. And I myself am Athena McKay, the Executive Director of Flint Innovative Solutions. This program was funded by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to gather and improve the health of our Flint residents in multiple census tracts. We have an alarming rate of preventable illnesses. And we know that our nurses at Michigan United and across the county are doing everything that they can, as well as our medical professionals. But it starts with us. So this information, as you have been able to glean for the last 4 months, is just a tool in your toolbox to help you gain control of your blood pressure, to live a healthy life and be more vibrant. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping. As you all know, we at Flint Innovative Solutions house the Flint Eats app. This is where you can track your tips and deals and recipes for others in the community to also take control of their health. Eating well, living well, and empowering the community, the Flint community, through the Flint Eats app. It's available at the Google Store as well as the App Store. So please don't hesitate to reach out and get your download that app and utilize it. More information can be found at flinteats.org. Also want to do a quick reminder and an introduction for those who may not know already. There is an upcoming Flint Food Summit, which is right around the corner, which is September 24th from 10 to 5 p.m. at the Flint Farmers Market. I have more information about that later, and you can also check our website and our Instagram. It's open to everyone, to leaders in the food ecosystem, to growers, our farmers, our urban gardeners, as well as thinkers and eaters. And that pretty much includes everyone. I think all of us are eating something at this point, harvesting from our garden. Thank you so much for our sponsors. And again, this is led by the Flint and Genesee Food Policy Council. But there's more. We have a phenomenal opportunity to highlight our Flint's own Mama Soul as our keynote speaker. She will bring in her testimony of how food has been able to sustain her life, that she's also thriving in multiple industries. So don't hesitate, get your ticket now. There are scholarships available as well, so register for the Flint Food Summit. Without further delay, I would like to bring on our team. Again, they're no stranger to our community. We have Doc G, Nurse T, and Nurse Battle. For those who may not know you, they may have been living under a rock, even though we're Flintstones. Please introduce yourselves, ladies.
Hi, I'm Dr. Latressa Gordon. I am the Director of Public Health and Nursing Navigator Program with Michigan United. I am a U.S. Army veteran, psychiatric nurse practitioner student, and a strong advocate for our community. Now, popcorn to Tanya.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tanya Battle, and I am Assistant Director of Programs with Michigan United, and we are on the same mission, just wanting to wanting better health for everyone in our community. And we are just out here on the front lines, in the streets, and doing what we can to educate and make that happen. And I'm going to popcorn that to Nurse T.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tarnisa Martin. I serve as a public health lead nurse for Michigan United, as well patient resource and community advocate for one of our local hospitals. community advocates, and I love empowering our community to activate their healthcare power.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. So just wanted to give the viewers a quick notice. Normally we have your questions answered live. This is actually a pre-recorded session. I'm traveling from India, and I wanted to make sure that you had this information available on time. And so I dragged our nursing team. I said, please help me on this. And still they showed up for you, as they always do, to provide educational information. But with that being said, please still drop your questions in the chat. And as always, they will respond timely with those native questions so that we can be on the same page as we move forward in health and vitality. All right. So I am going to share some slides for our nursing team to be able to shed some light for you all.
Okay. So today we'll be doing the Healthy Heart and Vascular Blood Pressure Self-Monitoring Program. This is our fourth podcast. So today's topic will be about reducing sodium. This is brought from the YMCA 2018. Next slide, please. Okay. So the overview of what we're going to be talking about today is reducing sodium intake, nutrition, blood pressure fact. What is sodium? How do you reduce sodium? Low sodium meal option, choosing healthier options, the low sodium lifestyle, and why does it work? It's going to be another just recapping over the past 3 weeks of what sodium is and how the role it plays with your blood pressure. Next slide. So like I said before, we're going to talk about nutrition and blood pressure. The sodium recommendations for intake for the general population is less than 2,300 milligrams per day. Special populations is less than 1,500 milligrams per day. Special populations are people with kidney problems, diabetics, and heart disease. So 9 out of 10 Americans consume more than the recommended amount of sodium. The average American consumes 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day. Excess sodium causes you to retain as fluid, as we know as water weight. It can be difficult for your heart, and it makes it more difficult or harder for you to manage your blood pressure. So next slide. Okay. Why should we be concerned about our sodium? So people who are more at risk for heart disease are those that are 51 and older, people that are of African American descent, if you already have a diagnosis of high blood pressure, or if you have diabetes or sugar or chronic kidney disease. This is about half of the U.S. population. It's important to establish a healthy nutrition and lifestyle habits, regardless of your health status, to promote health and prevent chronic disease. So I'm going to popcorn it over to Nurse T for the next couple slides.
Hi, I want to hit on reducing sodium intake. What is sodium? Sodium versus salt. Sodium is a mineral that the human body needs for fluid maintenance. Sodium bonds to water, pulls it into the bloodstream, nerve impulses, muscle function. The body only needs 500 milligrams of sodium to function properly. Common table salt is sodium chloride. About 40% of the weight of sodium chloride is sodium. 90% of American sodium intake comes from sodium chloride. Next slide, please. Consuming too much sodium leads to excess sodium in the bloodstream. Excess sodium in the bloodstream, excess fluid that is pulled into the bloodstream. Total blood volume in the body increases, more blood flowing through the body, and blood pressure increases. So in essence, when you sit down at your table, before you even eat your food, the first thing that we normally do is grab that salt shaker. Just know your food already have some of that salt already in it. Next slide. Reducing sodium intake. A visual on sodium. 1/4 teaspoon salt equals 575 milligrams of sodium. 1/2 teaspoon of salt equals 1,250 milligrams of sodium. 3/4 teaspoon of salt equals 1,725 milligrams of sodium. 1 teaspoon of salt equals 2,300 milligrams of sodium. If at all possible, try to consume less than 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day, less than 3/4 a teaspoon of salt per day. And now I'm going to kick it over to Nurse Battle.
So, as Nurse T already said, a lot of times when we sit down at our table to eat, we salt our food without even tasting it. So, reducing our sodium intake. Where does salt come from? More than 75% of sodium that we eat comes from processed foods like chips, pretzels, bread, condiments like ketchup, cheeses, processed meats, pizza, canned goods, baked goods, and again, adding salt to our food. And some of the salt that we take in is naturally occurring. Next slide, please. What can we do? So we can eat more fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables, frozen fruits and vegetables. We can choose vegetables.
Oh. Did you freeze?
Yes, you could.
Okay, so I'll pick up. So what can we do? As mentioned, eat more fruits and vegetables, fresh, frozen, no salt added canned vegetables, rinse canned vegetables and beans to reduce sodium. Use fresh poultry, lean meat, and fish instead of processed. Limit sauces, ready-made mixes, and instant products. Use spices to flavor your food. Ask for no salt when dining out. I'm going to repeat that. Ask for no salt when dining out. Read nutrition labels to compare sodium levels. Choose the options that are lowest in sodium. Buy lower sodium, reduced sodium, or no salt added options whenever there's availability. Next slide. Reducing sodium intake. What does it really mean? Sodium free. Less than 5 milligrams of sodium per serving and contains no sodium chloride. Very low sodium. Less than 35 milligrams per serving. Low sodium. Less than 140 milligrams per serving. Reduced or less sodium, at least 25% or less sodium per serving than the usual sodium level of the product. Light for sodium reduced products for low calories and low fats and foods that contain at least 50% reduced sodium per servings. So now that Tanya is back, I'm gonna kick it back to her.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened. But so reducing our sodium intake throughout the day. For example, some sample meals for breakfast. We can choose breakfast with whole wheat toast with peanut butter, bananas, blueberries, and a cup of milk. For lunch, quinoa salad, black beans, scallions, corn, red peppers, mango, and avocado with a cup of milk. And for dinner, maybe grilled chicken, seasoned with rosemary and lemon, and with brown rice, broccoli, and a cup of milk. Next slide, please. Choosing the healthier options, this or that. So for breakfast, would we choose a breakfast sandwich with egg, with a slice of cheddar cheese, turkey bacon, on whole wheat English muffin with a cup of water, or yogurt with oats, blueberries, and sliced banana with a cup of water? And again, we want to choose fresh fruits and vegetables. So for lunch, Greek salad with spinach, tomatoes, cucumbers, low-fat feta cheese, olives with Greek dressing and a cup of water, or whole wheat or wrap with tomatoes, spinach, black beans, avocado, olive oil, and balsamic vinegar. For dinner, will we choose grilled chicken with brown rice, steamed broccoli, and a cup of milk, or turkey burger with lettuce, tomato, onion, ketchup, mustard, and Swiss cheese on a whole wheat bun with the baked sweet potato wedges and a cup of water?
I want to say
Next
something.
slide, please.
Those are some tricky
That
options.
sound good?
Yeah, I suggest.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. Why reducing sodium works? Well, is establishing a healthy nutrition and lifestyle habit promotes health. It prevents chronic disease, reduces fluid retention, such as when we manage our weight, we reduce fluid retention, and we control our blood pressure better. And ultimately, you will feel better. Eliminating bloating and weight gain associated with fluid retention, and it will be easier to manage your blood pressure. So I am going to turn it back over to Dr. G.
So we can go over. Okay, let's think about it. Okay, what have you eaten today or yesterday? What kind of foods have you eaten that would have helped reduce your sodium intake? How could you change some of the food choices so you're taking a less sodium throughout the day? Let's think about, have you eaten something that's really salty after a day of consuming a lot of salt? How do you feel? And let's think about all kinds of low sodium foods that we can purchase at the grocery store after learning about reducing our sodium intake and low sodium on the labels. What do we do to ensure that we aren't taking too much salt? So we're just going to have a quick discussion like today. So I know we were someplace and we got some popcorn. And the pop, like movie popcorn, it was so salty. But did I stop eating the popcorn? No. I finished the popcorn. And I knew by tasting it, it was so, I'm like, then, so when you have something that's too salty, then what you got to do next? You got to get what? Something to
Water.
wash it down. And, think that you wash down with water. So what are some of the healthier options? So like we said last, podcast, that we're learning just as you are going along making healthier choices, because how we grew up culturally wise, salts in our food. Like I said before, we was out at a restaurant and we were at a soul food restaurant, and before I even tasted my food, I reached for the shaker. And Tanya and Nurse T like, oh, Doc G. And I was like, ooh, what? And I was like, you're right. I haven't even tasted my food, but I am putting salt on it. So then when I taste it, it's like too much sodium. So once you start making changes of, decreasing your sodium intake, because it's not a lot of sodium that we can have a day. Was it 3/4 of a teaspoon gives us that 2,300 milligrams? So that's not a lot of sodium. So it's like you really have to be mindful, consciously, intentionally when you're eating, reading the labels, and remove the barrier. If you want to get for a salt shaker, put some dash or some herbs in your shakers on the table. So out of habit, if you're grabbing it, you're going to put some non-sodium spices on your food. So those are just some of the tidbits. And like, even if you're going to get, we talk about different options in a restaurant, asking for your sauces on the side, your dressing on the side. And also if you're having French fries, tell them that you don't want salt added or any additional sodium. So just making those small changes, but healthier options. So Nurse Battle and Nurse T, what did you guys have, or what's your advice that you need to work on with your sodium intake as we help the community?
Yeah. So for me, if I just be fully transparent, I just like the taste of salt.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was little, and I'm just being honest and being full transparent. I used to get my hand and put salt in my hand and just taste the salt.
Yeah.
And so like now, because I like the taste of salt, I like the taste of food with salt in it. So like as I was going through these slides, especially with the turkey burger. Now the turkey burger is good, but what added that salt was that cheese.
Yeah.
And then too, I'm a straight ketchup girl. I mean, I can put ketchup on everything. So I think for me, it's going to be from changing my mindset, but also trying to change the way that I view foods. Like I often hear people say, you eat to live. But I have been eating because it tastes good, And so just realizing that foods can taste good without all of that extra salt, and being able to really prioritize. And not only that, I just really want to start being healthier. And I want to put in the work, to help my body and to help my heart with the diagnosis of hypertension that I do have, which I thank God that is managed, but it's because I'm on a low dose of blood pressure meds. So I think about now, I really need to take my health and my salt intake serious.
So, we're just not out
So
here.
I think, you know, a lot of our social interaction, you know, if we have a meeting, we go to a restaurant, if we meet up with our girlfriends or, you know, friends or whatever, we go to a restaurant. And I just think it's a mindset shift.
Mm-hmm.
You know, taste your food first before you know, add salt, and maybe not 5 shakes of salt, maybe one. I'm not big on salt. So that's, you know, it's really not a problem for me. I went to a restaurant today. I just wanted some soul food. Like Nurse T said, it just tastes good. I just wanted some. And something in it was just too salty for me. And so that just, you know, it just
Yeah.
spoiled the mood. But yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because
you know, to keep that in mind too, restaurants, you know, they already add, you know, probably over the amount of salt that is recommended for us.
yeah.
So.
And you know, Tanya, now that you know, mentioning that, like I'm not one that have to add salt to my food, but it's choosing the foods that don't have as much salt in them. That's my problem.
So I still have a question. On some of the salt substitutes, you can use garlic powder, and there's something like there's something actually called dash seasoning, and so it's just different herbs and spices, and there's zero or very minimum amount of sodium in those things. So just take changing your palate or your taste buds, because once you move away from uh, adding the extra salt or using so much sodium, you'll know, like Tanya say, you'll notice immediately when you taste something, oh, that's too salty. But just like I had that popcorn the other day, and I knew immediately, oh, this is way too much salt. But you know, it's like, oh, you know, like you say, it's almost like you just trained to eat the salt, changing that mindset. So dash is actually called DASH dash. You know, we're not, you know, giving any what you call it, publications or, but that's something that you can use. Just find like, you know, different. There's also some saison. It's like a just different herbs and spices, but there's no sodium in it. So reading those labels when you go down the spice aisle, and you know we used to even look at that Lori seasoned salt that has, you know, a higher sodium content in it. So just like garlic powder, you know, paprika, different things. You have to play around and you fall in love with trying new recipes. And that's another thing. You know, even we could have our soul food, as we say, or our cultural food, but just taking away like that extra, fat back or something that's like nervous, fat means greasy, out of the food, or things that add extra sodium to it. Those lean cuts of meat, and like say, finding a substitute through there for sodium.
Yeah.
I think you made a good point, and that was cooking at home. Yeah.
It is, even though you have, like, say, the healthier options, they even found, like, if you just, somebody had posted a thing that showed the restaurants that are healthy for us, and you think places you think, oh, because they have this salad, but the main thing we do is like we'll get a salad, then we'll load it up with all this different stuff, even like green olives and all that kind of. Then the salad dressing, like Nurse T says, she's a ketchup person. I'm a ranch person. So a long time ago, I'm gonna age myself. It was a commercial that came on, a cartoon. Don't drown your food. So it was like basically you're not even tasting your food. Like if you get a salad and you just load it up with cheese, which is high in sodium, high in fat. Load it up with ranch dressing. Finding other options like vinaigrette. Healthier options like to do that. But it takes change. Time to change. Like I say, I changed like about 5 years meat to more of a vegetarian option, but still, even in that, you find that gray area with some of the foods that you get that are frozen. They're more processed, even if it's substitute meat. So you have to watch. So I haven't more so watch that. So eating at home if you can, but if you're going out, also look for it's like I know some of the restaurants, they have healthier options. So they'll have options lower healthy heart soup, or a healthy heart omelet, egg whites or those things like that. So those are some of the things that we can watch out for. out to eat, and then not adding additional salt. But I mean, it's a thin line for 3/4 of a teaspoon. You have 2,300 milligrams of sodium, so you can wipe that out. Like you said, you had a breakfast sandwich at McDonald's with even if it's a egg McMuffin or something like that. So easy go over how much. So that's a thing. We challenge you, each of our participants, get a diary, or on your phone, and then just start. We need to start tracking like how much sodium are we eating, because we know you're guessing, even if you're not putting the shaker on there. So let's read our labels like we went over before when we buy the food. Read the labels, and then portion size. That's the big thing too, because if you have a bag of chips, you think, oh, I'm gonna have this bag of chips, and it says 120 for one person, and for 3 people or something, it's 330, and you've been and ate the whole bag, and so now you had triple the serving size. And so working on our serving sizes, and also working on journaling, like what are we putting into our mouths, and being accountable for that.
Also, I wanted to answer some of that question too about the salt substitutes. Like she mentioned, there are a lot of salt substitutes out there. But one thing, before you change or you try anything new, always follow up with your primary care physician. The best thing is to try to reduce your salts. But once you start adding substitutes, just making sure you having that conversation with your physician to make sure whatever substitute you're using is that okay, because that substitute could be harmful in another area. So every change, making sure you have that relationship with your physician, or sometimes people have nurse practitioners, or just whoever, your dietitian or whoever you feel comfortable with, as far as a medical professional, making sure you have that conversation with them.
So then we go back to, you have garlic that you use, zest, the lemon, some of those other things. And so we can move on, I guess, to our next slide.
Actually, if we could, as you can see, these are some questions that I had written down, but you touched on some hidden salt before in the slide, and Tanya was actually going over it, and you jumped in, Nurse Doc G, and I was thinking the same thing. Like, can we go back and look at these, the options that they gave us, and why would we pick? Like, could y'all medically show us why we should pick one or the other? And you guys have already done some of that.
So we talked about number one, the nurse T touched on this. We have the egg, and then the option was the slice of cheese and turkey bacon is processed. So that's going to be a higher sodium option. So it's going to be more sodium you'll probably have with the egg McMuffin, and the cheese and the turkey bacon is going to be that's going to be almost your whole sodium intake for the day. And then you got yogurt, oats are lower. Those are natural fruits. And then you have your water. And I'll let Tanya or Nurse T go over next.
I'll do dinner. So you got grilled chicken with brown rice, string broccoli, and a cup of milk. That sounds delicious. And then you look at the turkey burger with the lettuce and the tomato and the onion. Now the turkey burger with the lettuce, tomato, and onion is probably healthy, but what increases the salt intake on it is the ketchup, the mustard, and probably that Swiss cheese. But Swiss cheese might not be as bad, but it is on a whole wheat bun. And then too, you have a sweet baked potato. So like, I think the better option would be the grilled chicken with brown rice, string broccoli, and a cup of milk, because you don't have any process, and you don't have any foods that naturally just have a higher intake of salt in there.
So with lunch, I think, well, like the olives would probably have a lot of sodium in it. And what is that? Pepper? How do you say that? Pepperonis. That has a lot of sodium in it with in the Greek salad, versus a whole wrap with just tomatoes, spinach, and black beans. Olive oil, that's safe. What you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. So you have like I said, feta cheese and olives, and the Greek dressing. So and the one like the whole wheat, tomatoes and spinach are the vegetables. So there's like lower sodium. So we're going fresh fruits and vegetables, which are naturally
Mhm.
lower sodium. It's natural.
Yeah. And then too, I was gonna say, and then too, sometimes, like when they give you like the idea of choosing your healthier foods, it's also what you have in your kitchen too. And so it's like where you can put together out of the options that you may have. So
Thank you for that. I know that goes back to when we had Mr. Quinn on as far as shopping. Well,
Yeah,
if we want to eat at home, we need to make sure we have the right stuff at home and take the healthy person to the grocery store, not the hungry one.
right. Exactly.
And then, so are cheeses normally salty, or does it matter? It does it depend on the type of cheese?
Well, cheese, basically, really like dairy, if we can, the lower, even, Miss Quinn said the lower sodium, but cheese has a lot of sodium in it and a lot of fat. So those, even if the low fat is, the lesser of the two evils, as we say, but, but if we can eliminate that, that would, but if we had to, the lower, low fat, and then look for low sodium cheese. And same thing like with the soups, it has like, Campbell has a no sodium or lower sodium options.
yeah,
So we had that list before with the options of things that are normally contain higher sodium. Like I say, it doesn't like as looking at the requirements or daily requirement, it doesn't take much for you to be over. So eliminate as much as you can, like the frozen, like the pizzas, and like you had said before, because it's processed, it has a longer shelf life. There's more sodium.
yeah. So Swiss cheese, a 1 ounce have 28 grams. Um, and then so what I say about 50 to 60 milligrams. So like Swiss cheese would probably be a better option because it's lower in salt. But then you look at cheddar, it has 180 milligrams, and then American cheese have 300 milligrams.
Wow.
Yeah, I know when my primary, diagnosed me with hypertension. One of the things that he did recommend that I stop was cheese, and it's I love cheese, but it's like changing. So when they ask you, "Do you want American cheddar?" You be like, "Do you have Swiss or no cheese at all?" Because you know that it's going to be higher in salt.
And I can run through our quick list the fruits and vegetables, any fresh fruit like the apples, the berries, the oranges, mangoes, bananas, any fresh vegetables, broccoli, the sweet potatoes, beets, okra, spinach, carrots, frozen vegetables without any added butter or sauce. The canned vegetables, you have to go canned. The no sodium, remember to, we say rinse them, but that means just wash them with some water. Remove most of the sodium, the low sodium vegetable juice, fruit, whole grains like brown, quinoa, Nurse Battle stated, barley, whole grain pasta, couscous, hot or cold breakfast cereal without sugars like oatmeal, shredded wheat are good, unsalted popcorn, low sodium chips or pretzels, the whole grain breads, bagels, English muffins, tortillas or crackers. And then when we go for our protein, remember the fresh or frozen fish, shellfish, chicken, turkey without the skin or marinade on there, lean cuts of beef. We said X out the pork, but if you had to have it, lean cuts, unsalted nuts or seeds, and dried beans like peas, lentils, black beans, garbanzo beans, which are chickpeas, and anything that's labeled no salt or sodium, still rinse them off and remove that. Eggs, and then we go to the dairy. So for dairy, they recommend fat-free or low-fat milk, the 1%, the fat-free or low-fat yogurt, low sodium or reduced sodium cheese. Make sure you check that label because cheese, as we stated, is higher in sodium. The soy milk, soy yogurt, but also go back to your, physician, as Nurse T stated, for best dieted. Butter, no salt on the butter. Vegetable oils, we got canola, corn oil, olive oil is good if you can have peanuts. say flour, low sodium and no sodium ketchup. There you go, Nurse T. Low sodium, no sodium ketchup, low sodium salsa or picante sauce. And then here for the seasoning, it's the herbs, spices, salt-free seasoning, chopped vegetables like onion, garlic, pepper. You make your own seasoning, lemon, lime juice, or ginger. Those are some of the healthier options for the list.
But now, Doc G, that sounds good, but it doesn't sound good. You know,
We in the same thing. We eat for taste and not to live. So
right.
now that's what I'm like even looking at. Like I say, it registers. It doesn't take much sodium for you. It's already in the stuff. So by the time you can knock yourself out. You're 2,300 milligrams at breakfast. You know, so now if you already got that, and then you're gonna keep adding on today. So that's why I say I challenge us, for us to do a journal and just start recording, like before, like we had, Quinn on talked about your labels, the importance of knowing, like I said, we know your numbers, know your labels. What am I putting in my mouth? How much am I eating? What's my serving portion? Like you said, the deck of cards on your hand for your meat. And so we Nurse Tisha usually has those plates that we get from the government, and we probably put that in the link next or mail it out. But it is already pre-portioned for you. You'll be surprised what your portion size is of your carbohydrates, your meat, and your vegetable. So sticking in those portion sizes, reading those labels, making sure we're not adding extra sodium, like the even butter. Of course, you want some butter on the popcorn. You might want some butter in your mashed potatoes. You want some, butter on your steak, or butter has sodium. It's also dairy with fat. So changing those our taste buds, and we're going to go over that. How long does it take to change a habit? Usually it's like 6 weeks before you can actually, build new habits. So we're building new habits for a healthier lifestyle, and we're all doing it, and it's a challenge.
And I think what Nurse T said, that we, a lot of us eat to live. I mean, yeah, we live to eat. But if we change that mindset and just know that we have to eat to be healthy, and but
that's never fun. It doesn't have to be but because that's the first thing. A lot of times it's like almost like when I know for me, when I went, same thing, like when I was borderline, like years ago, I was borderline diabetic. So I am a sweet person. I'm like a little salt too, like Nurse T said. I used to do that too, put some salt and liquor, but I like my sweets or my bad carbohydrates. So what did I do at first when he said, well, you need to cut this out, because your A1C, with your A1C, it tests like your blood sugar over a 3-month period. And it shows that, okay, keep on, you're on the cusp if a couple more points, you're going to be diabetic. So I was pre-diabetic. So I had to make a choice. For me, I just, stopped eating meat and incorporate more fruits and vegetables. But I still had work to do, because I like my goodies. So, but the first thing when he said that, what did I do? I left out there. I got me a candy bar. I'm like, you gonna tell me I can't have my sugar? You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when we feel like we're being too restrictive, we go the opposite way. So finding that balance, we know that, okay, if I'm diagnosed with high blood pressure, or if I'm pre-hypertensive, I have a strong family history of hypertension, later on I could be that way. So what small steps can I do instead of like all or nothing? We're just saying, and we'll go over that with the, earlier, because, it's like change your salty ways. I was salty, in our community, salty means you're upset, you're mad, so don't get salty. So we're changing our salty ways. So taking those small steps, and, that's all we can do is, small steps at a time. But we know that these small steps will lead to big changes. And the goal is to decrease our blood pressure, and to, improve our overall health. So it's hard.
Yeah. And even if, like, say, just modification, just just balancing out your diet. And so, like, because it's hard sometimes just to go cold turkey. I mean, that's really hard, because everything she listed, I was sitting here like, I'm not gonna eat nothing. I'm gonna be starving. like everything, because even though you want to eat to live, the reality is if you don't like it, you're not gonna eat it. If I don't like how it tastes, I'm not gonna eat it. So one thing about it is too, is just start with the small things, like she was mentioning, like just start with putting down the salt shaker. Don't add extra salt, and then go from there. Oh, let's see, because you share your transformation story and how you manage salt intake daily. So I was talking earlier that I used to be one that loved salt. And then I got diagnosed with hypertension. And one of the things that the physician told me I had to do was watch my salt intake. And not only that, wherever salt is, water follows. So if I had it like hypertension, which is high blood pressure, which was impacting my heart, so that meant the other areas of my body could be holding fluid. So one thing I had to do was just stop adding salt. Like I don't even pick up the salt shaker, but I am learning, and it's a daily process, learning how to pick healthier foods and different foods so that I can manage my salt intake. But it's a challenge, especially because it's like I'm not like one to just. I was, of course, when I was young, I taste the salt, but now I'm not one to just shake the salt. But what I like to eat, like ketchup, I could take a hamburger or some French fries and drown them in ketchup. So now it's like, okay, I can have the French fries, but not eat the ketchup. So stuff like that. Thank you guys for wanting to know my transformation story.
Absolutely. It brings back memories I shared in our last podcast that my mom had a triple bypass and a stroke. A stroke and a triple bypass. And the first thing they said is, you need to cut out salt. And so they went through this whole dietitian, and y'all named it, all of it. We couldn't eat canned soup or canned food. I had to go to frozen fruits and vegetables instead of canned vegetables. And of course, fresh is preferred. And it was just a total transformation. And ketchup, like who knew? Those are the hidden things, and all the condiments, the dressing, the mayonnaise or Miracle Whip, like the things that we cook with are killing us. So I'm so glad we're having this conversation and sharing.
Yeah. And drink more water.
Yeah.
Because we eat those high salty foods, and then guess what we flush it with? We flush it with pop.
Yes.
Or like I love Simply Lemonade. I gotta let go of Simply Lemonade because it's high in sugar. And if it's sugar there, it's salt there. So it's just learning to make a difference where you can. Drink more water, let go of the pop. Pop holds the fluid as well. McDonald's pops is my downfall.
Yeah. And then also if you're on like a diet or water pill, so that's why you want to consult with how much sodium you take too, because your body, if you have a water pill, you're putting out that potassium and that sodium, so you might, have that SNOT, so to speak, with your doctor. But yeah, so pop, that's my thing, or soda pop down south, Coke, or it's best we talk about that. The healthy alternative to the pop was the dark, clear sodas like the ginger ales, or 7-Up versus the Coca-Cola, because the syrup is more dark, it's more damaging to your kidney.
And for those who say,
go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Nurse.
For those that say, some people say that they just can't drink water, put cucumbers. I put cucumber in my water, and cucumber is, it contains water. So it helps flush your system out, and, add lemon or fruit, even blueberries or oranges, to flavor your water.
Yeah. Now, what helped me drink water, it might help you guys, and I'm not saying it's the best thing to do, but what I'll do is I'll go get me a wine glass with some ice, and I'll put water in it. So that's my way of psyching myself up. That'd be my self-care. So I, be doing my facial, and then I'll give me a wine glass and put some ice water in there. And then that's kind of like a treat to myself. So.
Retaining water. Okay. Sorry. Is that what you were?
Yes, ma'am. Y'all touched on it, but can you talk about like the medical side of how retaining water works and then how to prevent it?
Okay. So if you want to go osmolarity, it's like, polar fluid regulation balance. So sodium, it helps, it moves stuff from higher areas to equalize it. So the body responds with concentration. Your body, it will retain sodium, and to help dilute it, you need more water. So the kidney role is to help it, excrete it with the blood. Becomes too much sodium in it. So the thing about it is that you have different type of minerals, sodium, potassium, and it helps work with your muscles, helping your muscles contract. So when you have sodium, like Nurse T said, when there's sodium, it pulls more water in. And I'll let Nurse T and Tanya, they can touch on that as well. I went to with osmolarity and all that kind of stuff too.
So let's see here. So your body is mostly water, and it keeps a careful balance of fluids inside your cells, in your blood, and in the spaces between. Water retention edema happens when too much fluid builds up in tissues instead of being flushed out. So when you have the salt there instead of the water there, now the water don't have like a place to go through, like how Doc G was saying. So what it does is kind of like builds up. So like like if I can tell if I've had a lot of salt and I haven't drunken a lot of water, because I'll look down and my feet are swelled. Or like say for instance, I love bacon. But guess what? Bacon is real salty. And not only does it cause my lower extremities to swell, it also gives me a headache. So just being mindful to know that a lot of the extra fluid that you see on your body, which we call edema, can be because of too much salt.
And then you also can get something called congestive heart failure, where too much sodium, your heart, the muscle can't pump all that fluid. And then you can get, like Nurse T was talking about, that's called peripheral edema. That means your legs and your feet are swelling because it's, and then the pulmonary edema, too much fluid on your lung. And then you can get cerebral edema, too much fluid on your brain. Those are different types of swelling or edema or fluid retention. And also remember, when Quinn was on, he talked about having too much sodium. Our faces are puffy.
Mm-hmm. I know he talked about us, didn't he?
You're like, "What, talk about us?" Okay.
He talked.
Yeah, but so those are some of the the body mechanisms of like sodium. We can take a little bit to kind of go through there. But we talked about like the diet. That's why your doctor sometimes the first treatment for high blood pressure would be a diuretic or a water pill to help first to pull that excess water off. That would help your heart pump the fluid more effectively. Tanya, your take?
I agree with all of that. And also just being more active too will help like flush if we've eaten bacon, the day before, drinking water and being more active will help, flush our system of some of that sodium.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we're getting close to, if we can pull up that 21 days, changing your salty ways. And I see we're getting close to our hour. Okay. So I don't know if we can see this, but okay. Salty way, changing our salt. American Heart Association talk about changing your salty ways in 21 days, adopting better habits. So on average, American adults eat more than 33 milligrams of sodium, and 50%. So we're supposed to be at 2,300 milligrams, and on average, we eat 3,500 milligrams. So first of all, we're gonna small steps like Nurse T and Tanya, Nurse Val talk about. Reducing your sodium intake, you can start enjoying foods with less sodium. Reduce the bloating, as we talk about that water retention, and it also helps promote and manage your high blood pressure if you have it, or decrease blood pressure. Over the next 3 weeks, we're going to incorporate the following 2 tips each week to help you reduce the amount of sodium in your diet. In less than 1 month, these small changes can lead to big reductions. So it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. So week 1, we're going to use those nutritional label facts. It's going to let you know how much milligram of sodium is in there. Look for the heart check marks on your food. That will let you know if they are sodium reduction. And then we talk all the stuff we talked about. So this is a good handout that Athena can probably email out to people to enjoying eating at home versus eating out, preparing your meals at home, and knowing what you eat out, reducing that intake. And then week 3, we're going to swap out or leave out the salty seasoning. Experiment with salt-free seasoning. Add citrus, ginger root, garlic, herbs, and vinegar to dishes. If no salt, add a low soda antebellum. Modify what you can eat. So that's this right here. This sheet is changing your salty ways in 21 days, and we'll get that out for you. And that's all I have, and we can take it back over again.
You know what? I was just want to challenge people to think about for the next 21 days. I like what you said. Don't be salty.
Yeah, don't be salty.
I mean, that right there hit home for me. I don't know whether it hit home for anybody else, because sometimes you be salty, you be mad at people. But
Yeah.
guess what? When you be salty, your body be mad at you.
Yeah.
When you be
Oh, yeah.
salty, your body is saying, okay, you salty, you eating all this salt. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hold on to this fluid in your body, this water, because you ain't putting enough in it. And then guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna back up. So your body, hey, don't be salty. Because I hear my body saying, don't be salty, and don't, because your body be mad at you. Because our bodies is saying that we got to partner with it. Like our body has a responsibility, our heart has a responsibility, our kidneys have a responsibility, our lungs have a responsibility. But guess what? They can't function properly without our help. So what they saying is put down the salt. Don't be salty. Don't give me all that extra salt that I didn't ask for. I didn't ask for that extra salt. Just give me what I need to survive.
I love that handout. What did it say? Change your ways in 21 days.
Your salty ways. So that's
change your salty ways. And 21 days, really, when we think about it, it's not a lot. It's not a long time. And as fast as these weeks are going by, once we, make up our mind to do it.
And it's a good handout because it's basically, in a nutshell, everything that we encompass that we've been talking about on these 4 weeks, but they put it in the 21 days. We talked about the labels. We talked about change it, not eating out, putting the extra salt shaker, and then with the different herbs and spices. And the big one was eating at home, because a lot of us are on the go and on the rush, and we've gotten so. I was thinking, I was getting some talk to my son. My dad, he never liked microwaves. This is back in the early like 1990s or whatever. But that's the same thing. We want everything now. I want my food now. I don't have time to cook. I got this week to go. So it's going to take some work on our part, and that's the part we've got. So as which part he so eloquently said, we're lazy. So we were lazy. We want things now, but now is the time. It's a season in our lives. Get it, season. This is a season for
That's
us.
it. Okay, but there you go again, Dr. G. You keep throwing them hooks.
Yeah.
So you got to step into a new season of how you season your food. And what I'm thinking now, and what I want to challenge is that those 21 days is that we mail out, make sure everybody get them, and then y'all report back. Because what I'm thinking now, I'm about to call my cousin up right now and have her create a shirt that said, "Don't be salty."
Yeah,
and then whoever the most work, I'm like, let's make a competition. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so at the end of those 21 days, we can have shirts saying, "Don't be salty." And what does that mean? It means that we put down the salt. We put down the salt because we cared about our body. At the end of the day, I got to care enough about me to put the salt down.
Mm-hmm. It makes this change. And don't be salty at the doctor when he tell you go to and he said you need to lose the weight. And don't be salty when he tell you if you don't read your lab work and tell you that it's off, because that's what we do. We get mad. We go, because I know for myself, speaking from experience, I got this whole thing. I would not get on the scale, and that's what I said. Mr. Quinn, when I was training with him, he made me get on the scale. He's the only person on earth probably that's living that know what my weight was at that time. And I was so mad at him, and he was like shocked. I took it out on him.
You were salty at him?
Like, I'm coming back here, what type of establishment is this? So being salty, and we were looking for ways to point at the finger at everybody. But like Nurse said, we got to look at us, and Michael Jackson said, look at the man in the mirror. So we have to look at ourselves and take accountability. Nobody's in there picking up the salt shaker but us. Nobody's taking this. Like my grandma, she would always tell me when I was younger, you got to push back. And what does that mean? Push back from that table. That means monitor what you're eating. You're eating too much. So the portion control, that sodium intake, we got to take charge of that, and we got to get to the root, or if we can't find out why, we need to get to the root of why we're keeping this behavior going. So it might be a root cause to that. So we need to find out that root. But like Nurse T said, we're not going to be salty, and we're going to change our salty behavior. Yeah. And we're going to challenge you on that, and we're going to get this handout out. And that's all that.
Well, I think an amen goes there.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
Always our nurse practitioners, our medical professionals, keep it real. This is not an easy task. This journey to health and wellness and wholeness is an everyday battle. Get it, nurse battle?
It's a battle. And the struggle is real.
So I know we said it will be with you for 4 months, but we have a potential. Our funders saw the work that these phenomenal women are doing. We're doing together. And so we may be back on another a few months or so to give you more information. But as always, you can reach out to us at FIS and our phenomenal medical team here, Doc G, Nurse T, and Nurse Battle, for more information on how to improve your hypertension and your whole your health as wholeness, and food is medicine. Stay connected, share this podcast with others, and we will see you soon. Thanks so much.
Now, don't forget to say, Athena, don't be salty.
Don't be all together. 1, 2, 3. Don't be salty.
Oh, man.